Okay, so two right triangles. We call this one the 45, 45, 90, and this one is the 30, 60, 90. That refers to the angle measures. So for this one right here, 45, 45, and a 90-degree angle. And for this triangle, it is isosceles, like these two legs are the same length. And then we're going to have a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Again, we identify it by the angle measures. And yeah, there's more to this, but just to keep it simple, that's how we're identifying them. Okay, so then here, this chart, we're going to cross it out just to kind of save our brain energy. And we're going to just jump right into it. Okay, then right here, 45, 45, 90-degree triangle, we have a visual right here. And it shows the 90-degree angle and then 45 and 45. The two legs are the same length. So we call this X and X. And if you know the length of one of the legs, then you also know the length of the other one because they're equal. And then we have the hypotenuse, which is the longest side, and it's opposite the 90-degree angle. And the length of the hypotenuse is just X times square root of 2. Okay, so if you're given the length of a leg and you're trying to find the length of the hypotenuse, then you can take the leg and multiply by square root of 2. So you just take the leg and multiply by square root of 2, and you will get the length of the hypotenuse. So if you're going from leg to hypotenuse, you multiply by square root of 2. And if they give you the length of the hypotenuse, and you're trying to find the length of the leg, so to go from here to here, you would divide by square root of 2. So you take the hypotenuse and divide by square root of 2. And that's what we're doing for this first set. So if we're given a leg, we're going to multiply by square root of 2, or if we're given hypotenuse, we divide by square root of 2 to get over here. So on these first three examples here, so we're going to use these ratios. These ratios, just so you're aware, are also on the reference sheet for the EOC right here. So you don't really have to memorize them, you just have to know how to use them. So here we're just going to be referencing this. So it gave us a leg is 10. So these two would be the legs, right? The two shortest sides that are adjacent to the 90-degree angle. This is 10. And this would be 10 as well, because they're the same length. And then to find the hypotenuse, we have to multiply by square root of 2. So y is 10 square root of 2. Okay, so repeating that same process for these two, they're giving us a leg and we have to determine the other two sides. So it gave us one of the legs, square root of 6. So this here would also be square root of 6, the same length. And then from here to here, we multiply by square root of 2. So like square root of 6 times square root of 2. So we did that pre-lesson where we had to simplify these. Let's see, square root of 6 times square root of 2 would be square root of 12. Square root of 12 can be simplified though. So to simplify this, we're going to break it up into factors, 4 and 3. And then 4 can be broken up as 2 and 2. So we got 2 2's, and we take that out, we get 2 square root of 3. So that right there is this, 2 square root of 3. All we did is multiply by square root of 2, but because we had to do the whole simplifying thing, it made it a little bit longer. Okay, then number 3 gave us a leg, and that would be the same as this, 3 square root of 7. And then from there, to get over here, we need to multiply by square root of 2. So square root of 7, so when you multiply this, you put the square root with the square root. So it'd be 3 square root of 14. So we did 7 times 2 to get the 14, and that's that. You would simplify this if you can, but you can't. That's it. Okay, and then for these three down here, this time they're going to give us the hypotenuse. They're giving us the hypotenuse. And then to get back to the leg length, we have to divide by square root of 2. So they give us the hypotenuse, we're going to divide by square root of 2. So we have 4 square root of 2 divided by square root of 2. And square root of 2 divided by square root of 2 is just 1, like that cancels. And so we're just left with 4. So x is 4, and then y is 4. Okay, so for each one of these, we're just dividing by square root of 2. So we'll get 12 over square root of 2. We can't leave this radical as a denominator though, so we have to simplify. So to simplify this, we just multiply by square root of 2 over square root of 2. So square root of 2 divided by itself is just 1. So we're multiplying by 1. But what happens is it makes it so there's no radical in the denominator. So 12 times square root of 2. And then square root of 2 times square root of 2 is just 2. And then here the 12 and the 2, we can divide both of those by 2 to get 1 and 6. And we get 6 square root of 2. And so this is our leg. 6 square root of 2 and 6 square root of 2. Okay, and number 6 right here. Divide by square root of 2. 4 square root of 6 divided by square root of 2. We can't leave this radical as a denominator. We could do this situation here, like multiplying by square root of 2 over square root of 2. However, there's even a better shortcut, like these can be divided, the square roots, to get square root of 3. So square root of 6 divided by square root of 2 is just square root of 3. So we get 4 square root of 3. And that's our legs here. 4 square root of 3, 4 square root of 3. And then we have the back side too, but something that comes up on the homework, just so you're aware, when you have a square, so a square would have all 90-degree angles, right? And then a diagonal of a square, this would bisect the 90-degree angles and make a 45, 45, 90. So on some of the problems, it'll tell you like the side length of the square or the diagonal of a square, and you just use the rules for 45, 45, 90. So if you have a square, that's how that works. Okay, and then when you got that down, like flip to the back. We'll continue on the back. Okay, so what we worked on was a 45, 45, 90. Now we're going to transition over to 30, 60, 90. So for this triangle, again, it uses ratios. The ratios are just a little bit different. It is on the reference sheet right here. So what we're doing is on here as well. For this, they use X. However, I like to use S because S to me stands for shortest side and it helps me remember. So for ours, like 30, 60, 90, great. Opposite the 30-degree angle is going to be your shortest side. And then your hypotenuse is going to be 2 times the short side. And then they call it long leg. I like to call it the medium length side. Medium is S square root of 3. So short side times square root of 3. Okay, so if you're given the short side and you want to find the hypotenuse, so short to the hypotenuse, you just multiply by 2. So you take the short side and you multiply by 2 times 2. If you're at the short side and you want to get to the medium, like this way, from short to medium, you multiply by square root of 3. So short times square root of 3. If you have the hypotenuse and you want to get the short side, so if you're at the hypotenuse and you want to get the short side this way, you would divide by 2. So you take the hypotenuse and divide by 2. Or if you're at the medium side and you want to get the short side, you take the medium and divide by square root of 3. And again, we're going to practice this not just today, but tomorrow too. And then we have our ratios here that we can reference as well. So for the examples, it gives us 2 of each like situation or scenario. The first 2 is going to give us the short side. So we have our short side, 2 times the short side, and then short side times square root of 3. So to go from short to the hypotenuse, probably the easiest one, just multiply by 2. So 12 times 2 is 24. And then to go from short to the medium, we multiply by square root of 3. So 12 times square root of 3 is 12 square root of 3. Number 2 gives us the short side. We need to find the hypotenuse and then the medium side. So to go from here to the hypotenuse, we multiply by 2. And then when you multiply like a whole number by this, you multiply the whole numbers together. So we get 2 times 6 is 12. And then it just stays square root of 5. And then over here, we multiply by square root of 3, because here to there. And then the radicals get multiplied together. So this will be 6 square root of 15. Okay, so then the next 2 examples are going to give us the hypotenuse. So they're giving us like the hypotenuse here. So this would be 2s. And we have to divide by 2 to get the short side. So to get to here, we divide by 2. So x would equal 8. And then from here, we multiply by square root of 3. So 8 times square root of 3 is just 8 square root of 3. Okay, so number 4, same process. So if they give you the hypotenuse, you're going to just follow this process. You just divide by 2 to get the short side. So divide this by 2. 8 divided by 2 would be 4. So we get 4 square root of 6. And then from here, to get this, we multiply by square root of 3. So that would be 4, and then square root of 3 times square root of 6 would be square root of 18. Only problem is that square root of 18 isn't simplified. So we have to use our simplifying skills to get that simplified. So down here, I'm going to just simplify square root of 18. 4 squared 18. Okay, so simplifying the square root of 18, I'm going to break it up into factors. Two things that multiply to 18 are 9 and 2. Two things that break up, make 9 would be 3 and 3. Looking for doubles that I can take out. So I found a double 3, so I can take that out. So it's going to be 4 times 3, and then square root of 2 just stays in. So I get 12 square root of 2. So this equals 12 square root of 2. And that's like the actual answer there. Y equals that. That was fun, y'all. It's taking up a level. Okay, number 5 and 6. Now they're giving us the medium length side. So here they're giving us this here, and we have to work backwards. So to go from here to here, we divide by square root of 3. So from here to here, we're dividing by square root of 3. And so 9 square root of 2 divided by square root of 3. And we can't have that radical as a denominator, so square root of 3 over square root of 3. We're multiplying by 1, but this will get rid of that radical as a denominator. So we get 9 square root of 6 over 3. And then 9 and 3 can be simplified. Divide by 3 to get 1, divide by 3 to get 3. And we get 3 square root of 6. So that's that. And then for the longer side, just take the shorter, multiply by 2. So this would be 6 square root of 6. Okay, last one here. So to go from here to here, we divide by square root of 3. 21 over square root of 3 times square root of 3 over square root of 3. 21 square root of 3 over 3. Divide by 3 here and by 3 here, we get 7. So we get 7 square root of 3 for this. And then to get to from short to the longest side, we times by 2. So that would be 14 square root of 3. Okay, and one more thing just in case you get this in your question bank is an equilateral triangle. So one of the questions they say, okay, if you have an equilateral triangle and an altitude. So in an equilateral triangle, all these angles are 60 degrees. And then if you have an altitude, it would make a 90 degree, and it would also bisect this angle. So you have a 30, 60, 90. So if it talks about an equilateral triangle, you're going to use the rules for 30, 60, 90, FYI. And that is all. So, good job. Thank you for sticking with me and not complaining too much, because I know this is hard for you guys. So thank you for just staying positive. If you need help on the homework, of course, let me know. We are spending another day on this, so don't stress it too much. And yeah, go ahead and get a laptop, get started. And if you want to run to the restroom.